Hello everyone, today we're gonna analyze So1, Jinae, Green Wings top laner play Aatrox. This game is from Korean Master Tier and Aatrox gets 10 kills and 18 KDA in it, which isn't bad for a champion with one of the lowest win rates in the whole league. Aatrox has already been reworked once, not very successfully, and now he is in the queue for another rework. Aatrox still has some strong points though. He's mobile and his passive saves him from dying in teamfights. His abilities don't require mana or other resources and are only limited by their cooldowns. Plus, he scales well into late game. Depending on your goal and Aatrox build, you can use Keystone Press the attack, Lethal Tempo or Grasp of the Undying. In this game, Aatrox picks Keystone Conqueror though, and he builds for AD. Aatrox is an AD caster with good attack speed, so a rune that converts 20% of his damage into true damage will be good both against tanks and fragile targets. Resolve is taken as his secondary path due to Bone Plating and Chrysalis. Aatrox enters the lane later than Renekton because he was helping his jungler. If you don't have a creep advantage, it's better to play safe so Renekton can't harass you. Aatrox's problem is that he is always relatively weak at levels 1 and 2 because he can't activate his passive and his ability cooldowns are really high. Because of that, in most matchups he either has to let his opponent push him or ask his jungler for early help. Aatrox manages to freeze the lane under his tower, so he is protected from ganks and Renekton can't last hit ranged minions. An Aatrox-Renekton matchup is in Renekton's favor since he is more mobile, his crowd control is more reliable, his healing is strong and most importantly he simply has more damage in the beginning of the game when both top laners don't have their items. Aatrox's goal in such a matchup is to carefully farm and respond to Renekton's trades with E and auto attacks, boosted by W, only if he has lots of allied minions nearby. Most importantly, he always has to be ready to escape with Q. Aatrox buys Call in this game, which is very greedy, and the enemy jungler could have punished him for it. Although, in the current 8.4 to 8.10 patches meta, junglers mostly pay attention to the bot lane, and mid laners are often left to their own devices. Aatrox is somewhat of a hyper-carry fighter. He scales really well into late, and if he can farm freely, after minutes 27 to 30, he becomes a killing machine. Aatrox's second problem is a result of his first one. If he can't win the lane, he can't roam and pressure other lanes. If your allies are seriously behind in the early game, it will be very hard for them to help you. All that is left to do is farm. Of course, it doesn't mean you have to always stay on the lane. If you manage to chase your opponent off or pushed it all the way, you should go roaming. Roams are means of influence in the game for top laners. Remember a simple rule: to climb up the rank ladder, you have to win not only your own lane, but other lanes as well. Here we can see Aatrox playing carefully because he only has Ninja Tabi, and Renekton has already bought Tiamat. Trading with Renekton who has Tiamat is simply impossible, so get into the habit of pressing tab and looking at your opponent's purchases after going back to base. Another thing you have to keep track of is enemy bot lane rotation. The red team loses their bot tower first, and usually enemy marksman and support rotate to top after that. You have to be ready for it, so they don't catch you by surprise. Now Aatrox goes to the bot lane. He also buys Tiamat so he can push quick and go roaming, help his jungler with the dragon, or protect the mid lane. At this game stage, Aatrox has the highest level. Don't underestimate his damage and healing. If you don't have enough damage to quickly burst him, he'll easily heal himself and win a fight even against two enemies. During mid game, your goal is to split push. If there are no critically important fights going on, don't even try to go where the action is. By the way, take note. Before attacking the tower, Aatrox activates his passive, so he can get even more attack speed. Alright, so let's take a closer look at Aatrox's build. Many items fit him really well, but mostly people buy Trinity Force first. It works really well with Aatrox's passive, which boosts his base damage, giving him the much needed CDR and mobility. Although this item is really expensive and doesn't give enough health, and health is Aatrox's primary defense stat. We recommend starting with Trinity only in games that start off really well for your team. You can see an optimal build we recommend for the Conqueror rune on your screen. It starts with Titanic Hydra, which you need for faster wave clear. Then you have to take Sterok's Gauge or Frozen Mallet. Sterok is usually taken to complement Trinity, or if you have champions who can speed you up on your team, like Sivir, Lulu, Karma, Sona or Zilean. Frozen Mallet is taken for everything else so you don't get kited during duels and teamfights. Guinsoo's Rage Blade is always your third item. It combines really well with your W. Finish your build with two resistance items, Spirit Visage and Guardian Angel. Those two items significantly increase Aatrox's survivability in teamfights. Aatrox can take minion waves really quickly thanks to Hydra and his ability's AoE damage, and breaks towers quickly as well because of his passive. You can also take the enemy jungle. And of course kill everyone who gets in your way. Aatrox's main problem during teamfights, just like most fighters, is enemy crowd control. It's too easy to kite him, and even his passive can't help him, because after resurrecting, you'll just get caught in a crowd control chain again. Aatrox deals lots of damage in teamfights, and most importantly, buys his team lots of time thanks to his passive. The enemy has to choose if they want to kill Aatrox, he'll just resurrect himself with his passive, or ignore him and endure his damage. Both are unpleasant. By the way, it's very easy for Aatrox to take Nasha thanks to his healing, so don't leave this monster unguarded when playing against Aatrox. So this is what you've got to remember after watching this episode. Weak early game. Aatrox's early game is really weak, keep that in mind and play carefully. Your goal in the early game is to farm as many minions as possible. Split push. Aatrox is a split push champion. He clears minion waves and breaks towers very quickly, and he is also mobile enough to escape from a chase. Passive. Keep tabs on your passive. Tell your team when it's ready and when it's on cooldown. Without his passive, Aatrox loses most of his teamfight potential. And finally, teamfights. During teamfights, you have to get to enemy carries. To achieve that, you need to flank the enemy team from behind. Alright guys, hope you liked our review and that it will be helpful during your own games. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, good luck in the fields of justice.